Are you ready to level up your architectural drawing skills? In this video, we'll look into powerful drawing exercises that will not only allow you to sharpen your drawing skills, but also will boost your creativity and save time when ideating or visualizing your designs. Let's jump right into it. So here are some ways how you can take your drawing skills to the next level. The first one is to master the basics. Hone in your hand and eye coordination skills by practicing drawing simple shapes like circles, squares, and cuboids. You know, most of the built environment consists of the simple geometric shapes, so it makes sense to practice them first, because starting with practicing simple shapes will allow you to create more complex geometry later on. So in order to practice drawing basic shapes, pick a couple of standard shapes that you'll be practicing with. I typically go with square, a circle, and a cuboid, and then draw them a bunch of times until you feel comfortable. With cuboids as well, I usually draw them from different angles, and I'll just make sure that they're arranged and proportionally related to one another in a convincing way. Number 2, study the masters. Learn from the best by copying drawings from other artists. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about the plagiarism. It's actually the process of repeating what they have drawn that helps us to develop and grow. By copying other people's work, we can pick up on the subtleties, which are actually quite hard to learn by just looking at the drawings. And essentially that helps us to, push the boundaries of our skills, but it also helps to internalize all the different methods and ways that other people work in order to develop our own voice and our own style. And the best way to go about it is to just find some artists that you enjoy on Instagram or Google or even in the books. I remember doing this sort of thing before I applied to School of Architecture. I was considering industrial design, and industrial design has a specific way to go about drawing things, and I looked up a couple of artists whose work I enjoyed, and then I was just simply copying that work, the strokes, the shading, the different effects that they were using, and that helped me then to create my own set of drawings that I could put in the portfolio before I was applying to those universities. Number 3 is to draw from life. Drawing from real life helps with observational skills and understanding the complex relationships between the objects. It's also a great way to practice framing of the object, similarly to when we say take a picture. And depending on what kind of drawing you're doing, it also helps with the creative editing, because there's that flexibility to shift the objects, simplify them, or take some objects out. In order to practice drawing from real life, I find it useful to carry a small sketchbook with me, so whenever I'm out and about and I see something interesting, I can just take it out, sit somewhere, and just sketch that object out. Number 4 is harnessing the references. If you struggle with a particular object, then harnessing references is a really powerful way to overcome that block. Having a reference image is somewhat similar to drawing from real life in that you have an object that you can look at and then interpret it the way you want. It's not a substitution to drawing from real life, I wouldn't say, because drawing from real life has that additional benefits of having to frame the image that you'd like to see. Having reference image can certainly help in those situations where we have that one little bit in the composition that we'd like to show that we're unsure how to go about exactly. So when I have a reference image that I like to use, I'll typically have it on either a separate screen that I can look at, or more often I'll actually use it as an underlay for my drawings, and that's how I create most of the drawings on this channel. Number 5, explore different mediums. Experiment with different mediums like pen, pencil, charcoal, and brushes. Each of these mediums have slightly different characteristics, such as the texture, the line quality, and the blending abilities. Experimenting with different mediums is actually quite a good way to be a bit more creative about how we go about our work, because you can discover ways how to draw things that were previously not as apparent. So for example, pastel would be way more efficient compared to a pencil when you need to cover large areas of shading or color. And similarly, pencil has advantage of being erasable, and using pen in my experience is the fastest way to draw something, because there's no way to erase it and I'll just have to carry on no matter what screw-ups I have on that drawing. Now, the easiest way to go about experimenting with different mediums is to actually go and purchase some new tools, some new types of paper. And I'd say for all architects that are using predominantly pens and pencils, the way to go about it is to get some watercolors and some pastels, and then experiment with those on the rough watercolor paper and see where that leads you. Number 6 is about setting goals and practicing consistency. Now, this is about defining the exact goal of what you're trying to achieve with practicing drawing, and it's about then implementing a consistent schedule to stick with. Consistency is really a key for any long-term improvement. Consistency is also defined on a personal level, so depending on what your objectives are, whether that's recreational activity that you undertake, maybe 2 times a month is sufficient for that. If you want to take it, say, on more professional level, then I'd say a more frequent schedule is probably the key. If you can find times where you're feeling relaxed and you're able to dedicate yourself to the drawing craft, and you can do that repeatedly week after week, then I think that's where the key benefits are going to come in. And then finally, we need to be able to share our drawings with other people and to seek feedback from them. This is probably one of the most powerful ways of all to improve your drawing skills, because it will allow other people to highlight the weaknesses and areas of improvement that you can strive for, and will also help to highlight the things that you're actually quite strong at, which is sometimes quite hard to tell if you're doing everything on your own. So having somebody else to assist you in that process is really valuable. Practically, it can be challenging because not everybody is obviously drawing, and if you ask for your family or friends feedback, they're obviously going to say that everything is great. So maybe finding a peer group is one way to go about it. I am actually experimenting with a new Discord channel. If you want to have a drawing to be commented on, please just drop it in and I'll try my best to respond to it quickly. So if you're not shy about sharing your drawings and you're up for it, it's actually quite a good way to then let other people to learn from your drawings. If they see the drawing and they see the comments, everybody can learn from it, which can be cool community feature, and other people can chime in as well. So yeah, if you're up for it, there's a description link below. Remember, drawing is a skill that takes time and practice to develop. So be patient, be consistent, and you'll see improvement over time. I'm also going to link up a couple of videos on how to sketch like an architect over here and over here. If you're interested in developing your drawing skills to be more creative and faster in your design process, then check out those videos. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.